I'm audible to you all. Okay. The question is, who will shape that barber? Anyone knows this? Know the answer for this question? You may inform me within this lecture, or you may think about it. If you know the answer, you can share me, or if you don't know the answer, you can think about it. Okay. So this is exclusively for the students. Once again, I am repeating the statement. There is a village with the barber, and there is a barber shop. And yeah, thank you. Those who are answered audible. Thank you, sir, and thank you, ma'am. Yeah. Mm. So there is a village with barber, and he has to. The role of the barber is to shave the person who doesn't know the self shaving, and he should be in that. Yeah, it is barber paradox. So you just answer who will shave that barber. If you know the answer, you can share me, or if you don't know the answer, think about it. Just informal one. Thank you. So I will start my formal lecture. Yeah, fixed point, the concept. A fixed point, it is a geometrical nature of the fixed point. um, I will share the screen. Okay. So this is the geometrical nature of the fixed point. um, so f of, okay, suppose if you are having the curve of the function, if you are drawing the curve of the, everyone knows this one. I'm just I'm making your mind to refresh. Okay. So you just draw the curve of the graph of the function, and you just draw the line y equal to x. Then wherever it cuts or wherever it intersects with the curve, those points are fixed points for that particular curve. Obviously, the curve y of f of x equal to x obviously intersects all the points of your curve. So f of x equal to x is having all the points as fixed points. Okay. So this is just for a, I mean, if you are looking at this particular figure, it looks like two rats are pulled rope like that. It is nothing like that. Actually, all the dots are points of that space, and for fun, they are drawing like that. But what is the idea of this one means? If you are having the fixed point in that particular point, if you wherever you are pulling this point to any of the directions, but it will not move out, it will be fixed there itself, whatever the disturbances you are giving over there. In other way, if you are having a fixed point here, all the points are you are taking in that orbit, it will approaches that fixed point. That is the idea. That is the thing they are representing here in another way, fun way. Okay. So mathematical representation of your fixed point, and this is a mathematical definition. So f is a function from a metric space x to x, then f of x equal to x. Most of you know this concept. You please just simply view this one. Okay, those who are knowing this concept already. Okay. F of x equal to x. Then what are the points of this metric space x satisfied this equation f of x equal to x, or f of x minus x equal to 0. So such a solution of this equation is called fixed point. You cannot have sorry, you can have more than one fixed points for a same function. For example, suppose if you are having a function, suppose f of to x, suppose f from r to r, R to R, then all the points are fixed points. Why? Because if you are drawing the curve, this is assume that this is y equal to x curve. Okay. Then if you are drawing the curve for this function, every points of this are intersects with this line y equal to x. So all the points of this real line is fixed point for this identity function. Okay. So yeah, so that's why fixed points are not always unique. Okay, here there is a polynomial. As an example, it is given here. Here, if you solve this x square minus 3x plus 0 minus x equal to 0, if you are solving this equation, you will be getting the fixed point 2. Okay. And not an example, suppose f of x equal to x plus 1. Then we cannot say that all the points are fixed points. Why? Because suppose if you are having a curve, suppose y equal to x, y equal to x. I don't have the digital pen, so I'm drawing through mouse. Kindly adjust me. Okay. Suppose y equal to x plus 1 means it should be above this line, or y equal to x minus 1 below this line. So it should not intersect anywhere. Okay. So that's why your function x plus f of x equal to x plus 1 is x plus 1 don't have any fixed point. Even if you are considering that f of x minus x equal to 0, that equation, you will not have any solution for that equation. So this is about a fixed point. Then complete metric space, you know the definition. Every Cauchy sequence converges to a point. I am assuming that everyone knows what is convergent sequence, what is complete Cauchy sequence in metric space. With that assumption that I'm defining what is complete metric space is nothing but is a space in which every Cauchy sequence converges to one point. That point also belongs to the same space. Okay, very basic only I'm talking now. And contraction function. So this may studied in master courses. Okay. So suppose if you are having a complete metric space or any general metric space, whatever, I am assuming here more specifically complete metric space. Then I have a function from x to x. Then it is said to be a function called contraction. There exists one factor called contractive factor 0. That at the range between 0 and strictly less than 1, satisfying this inequality. So what does that mean? D of f of x comma f of y less than or equal to k into d of x comma y. It means, suppose if you are having a space here, suppose this is a space, okay, so suppose s or x, then I'm just shrinking this one, right? Okay, something. I'm just simply saying, so there is an external disturbance, say f, which disturbs this whole space x into this small space x, right? Or x or y. Okay. But this is also R2 and this is also R2. Okay. So the set is strinked, right? Okay. So contracted. Okay. So using any way, any of the way, you can contract this one. So this is the idea to tell about. So why you are defining like that means, if you take any 2 points, suppose x and y in the space, then their images, if you are taking here, the distance between these 2 points x and y is obviously less than or equal to the distance between their corresponding images. So that is the idea. They are defining in this way to define what is contraction function. Okay, then okay, there is an example. Suppose I'm saying f of, if you are having a function f of x equal to x by 2 or x by 1. X by 1 will not be x by 2. Okay. Suppose you are having 0 comma 1, then your function f disturbs this space into 0 to 1 by 2. So this is the way. You just consider, if you put x equal to 0, it will be 0. If you put x equal to 1, it will be 1 by 2. This is a continuous function. So all the intermediate points goes to all the intermediate points of this range. So this is one of the examples for a contraction function. So here general x by a plus b. This is nothing but one translation and one magnification. X by a is a magnification, and along with one translation, you are shifting the place and you are value. Okay. So such a translation and along with the magnification is also a contraction. And x plus 1 is not a contraction. Why? Because it is not contracting your space, your set. Okay. And that important point is Banach contraction theorem, or basically fixed point theorem, basic or traditional conventional fixed point theorem is Banach contraction principle. It is given by that mathematician Banach. So it may be named with the Banach contraction principle. So what is the theorem means? If you have a complete metric space, I'm going to have suppose I'm having a contraction function, then it should have the unique fixed point. What we have concluded here, all the functions need not be have a unique fixed point. So I'm looking for that. What sort of functions it will be having a fixed point? So for it will for that particular question, this fixed point theorem will answer. So if you are having a space is complete metric space, then if you are having a function is contraction, then such a function should have unique fixed point. So in with respect to that particular case, your function will not have uh, more fixed points. Okay. So yeah, once again I am repeating the fixed point theorem. Every contraction function over a complete metric space has a unique fixed point. So once again, I repeating because of this, I'm student point of view. I'm repeating this one. Sorry, faculty members may know this. So what does that means? If you are having a function over a complete metric space, should have exactly only one fixed point. Should have exactly one fixed point. So that is the concept called fixed point. This is the theory called generally called fixed point theory. And lot of advanced fixed point theorems or modified fixed point theorems or fixed point theorems are developed in so many settings, right? Okay, but we don't want that one. It is enough to define what is fractals using this theorem. Okay. So if I want to use this theorem, means what are the requirements? Means one complete metric space, one contraction, then only I can able to get a fixed point. This is the idea. Okay, so this is the idea. We are going to construct one complete metric space in different settings, one contraction function in some advanced format. Then from that, we are going to generate one fixed point using this one-off contraction principle. So from that, we can construct one fixed point set. Okay, such a set will be called as fractals or attractors that we are going to see um, uh, uh, in the next few slides, right? Okay. So I'm stop sharing now, and then is it okay? Is it clear about this one? Anyone please put yes or no in chat button. I don't know whether you are all whether I am following or you are all following me. I don't know. So we are in virtual mode. That's why I'm asking you. Okay, yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you for your responses. Thank you. Okay, so that I will confirm that okay, I'm in good way. Okay, I'm in the track on you. Okay. Okay, I'm going to share the screen again. Okay. The next one, our ultimate concept of the title. So some of you have studied fractals, means you may understand this one at your first moment. And suppose those who are not knowing about this one completely, means you may attempt once, and if you don't understand, you will try once again. You will attempt this idea. Once you understand that fixed point theorem concept clearly, then this will be very easy for us. But it should be done at a next level setting. That is the point. Okay. So before going to that generation of fixed point, fractals using fixed point theory, I just wanted to highlight the history or motivations or idea for fractals. Okay. Now, okay. That geometry, when it will becomes fractal geometry, and when it will be differed from what is that our general Euclidean geometry. Euclidean geometry means what is the geometry that we have done at 10th class, or we are something we are measuring with respect to our scale, that is called Euclidean geometry. Why? Because it is calculated according to the Euclidean measure. Okay, so that is the Euclidean geometry that everyone knows. Analytical geometry, 2D, 3D, so many things in R power n, general n dimensional spaces, all the things you know very well, even linear algebra, everything you have in your hand. Okay. But it is a little bit different fractal geometry. So far we are checking the like one dimensional object, two dimensional object, three dimensional object. Okay. Should I mention 1.5 dimensional object? Is it comfortable with you? If I'm saying, means you may think what is this fellow is talking about 1.5 dimensional. Okay. So 1.5 dimensional means you may think it is different, but that is a such a geometry is called fractal geometry. Like if you are talking about first order, second order differential equations, then if you're talking about 1/2th order of a differential equation, that is fractional calculus. Like that here, If I'm talking about one dimensional, two dimensional, instead of talking that one, I'm going to talk about 1.5 dimension, 2.3. Like that means it is comes under geometry called fractal geometry, because it is based on fractal dimension. You may ask why this fractal geometry is required. Why you are if you are having the dimensions 1, 2, 3, etc. But why don't you? I mean, why you are consider actually 1.5, 1.7 like that? Okay, you take one stone with that rectangular shape. Okay, stone, hard stone. Okay, and you take the brick which is used for construction. Take that one with the same rectangular size, and you take one sponge. Okay, so with the same size. So size wise, both the objects, all the three objects are same: length, breadth, and height. Everything is same. So that this three measures are required, three parameters are required. So it comes under three-dimensional object. But stone also three-dimensional object, and brick also three-dimensional object, and what is that? Sponge also three-dimensional object. But inside, whether all the three objects are, if you are talking about Euclidean geometry, it is we are saying, we are going to say that all are three-dimensional objects. But all the three objects are uh, density wise or structure wise, nature wise, it is same, means the answer is no. Okay, we should classify those objects in some way. So that's why we are going to introduce this fractal dimension nature to classify these objects, right? Even though Euclidean geometry wise it is three-dimensional object, but I can use the fractal dimension to classify these three objects with three different dimension measures. So that's why we are talking about fractal geometry. And obviously we should highlight the person Benoit B. Mandelbrot. He only coined the word fractals. So his range of his period is mentioned here, 1924 to 2010, and he will be called as a father of he would be called as a father of fractals because he has coined that word fractals. Okay. So this is about history, and I'm just marked one sentence in declare, that is Mandelbrot has defined the fractals as mathematically as a set whose Hausdorff dimension exceeds its topological dimension. So I'll talk about what is Hausdorff dimension, topological dimension slightly in my next.
Excuse me, sir. Sir? Excuse me, sir. It is not audible. Hello, sir.
Know what is Hausdorff dimension? I should know what. Hello, madam. Am I audible? Something was interrupted, so I has been disconnected. Now it is okay. Thank you for your responses. I will share the slide 1 second. I don't know what it is not audible.
Now it
Am
is
I audible?
audible,
Now
sir.
it is audible. Okay. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Something happened. I'm sorry. Okay. I don't know what it has happened. Okay. So I'm going to share the screen again. So yeah. So where we have stopped with this word, right? Okay, Mandelbrot has defined this word fractal as a set whose Hausdorff dimension exceeds topological dimension. Hausdorff dimension is nothing but it is defined from the S-dimensional Hausdorff measure. But S-dimensional Hausdorff measure is just nothing but our generalization of our outer measure that we have studied in our measure theory course. And topological dimension, as I mentioned, it has been taken from your topology course. Okay. So I will come to those point later. And before of that, it is actually fractal was introduced by Professor Mandelbrot in 1975. Very recently has coined that word, and it means fractured, broken. That word it means that one, fractures or fractured, broken. Okay. Okay. So now I'm going to okay. A lot of things are defined over the fractals. The fractals may be different, irregular, and fractals will be this type or self-similar. So many things are there. But generally, fractal has been having the following properties. The nature of the fractal will be comes under this four properties, right? Okay. It has a fine structure at arbitrarily small scales. It means if you are looking into, if you are zooming into that one, you will be getting the same type of structure which resembles their whole space. That is the idea, right? Okay, that is the concept. Even yeah, I'm talking about the self similarity also. It will give the same meaning, but self similarity will be given as exact value. This much amount of I mean this much amount of self similarity is there, like that I can estimate that one. Okay. So, and it is too irregular. It means too irregular in the sense, what are the objects I cannot able to accommodate or analyze the objects which are comes in, which are not possible to comes in that Euclidean geometry. So that are all can be analyzed in the topological, sorry, what is that, fractal geometry. I already mentioned why we are going for a fractal geometry other than the Euclidean geometry. And as I mentioned, fractal dimension is greater than its topological dimension. Fractal dimension means whatever I'm going to, I have mentioned Hausdorff dimension, the same one. So generally, fractals is um, defined here as mathematically exceeds the set with Hausdorff dimension exceeds its topological dimension. Roughly, it will have this following structure. Okay. It means something, if you are having self-similar, you can come into the fractal. Something you are finding irregularity is not possible to comes in Euclidean geometry, you can have that fractal geometry over that objects. Something you are finding that object whose Hausdorff dimension exceeds the topological dimension means you can take that object as a fractal. And if you are looking at a nice structure over that objects, if you are going into arbitrarily small scales, that will give the fine structure, then again you will take that object as a fractal. Okay, so that is the idea. But mathematically, I have defined that one as okay. So I don't want to repeat that one. Okay. Now, my aim is already I mentioned the construction of fractals. 15 more minutes only. Okay, construction of fractals from fixed point theory. That is my aim. So I will try to finish that one at least. Okay, such a theory called a construction of fractals through Banach fixed point theorem, Banach contraction principle. Such a theory is called Hutchison-Bransley theory. Why? Because these two fellows, Hutchison and Bransley, are contemporary mathematicians and working in the same time and giving this theory. That's why it is combinedly called as Hutchison and Bransley theory. So shortly, it is called HP theory. So the theory is telling about the construction of fractals using Banach contraction principle. That is the idea. That is such a theory is called HP theory or Hutchison-Bransley theory. Shortly, it is HP theory. Okay. In HP theory, what they are started means they are started with the iterated function system. Okay, iteratively you are going to do. That's what it is called iterated function system. Iterated function system means I am having one system with underlying space, a complete metric space. You can have a metric space, or more general, more particular, you can have the complete metric space also. I have one complete metric space, and I have n number of contraction functions. I have defined what is complete metric space. I have defined what is contraction function. So yeah, metric space or complete metric space X along with n number of contractions, say F1, F2, F3 up to Fn naught. Okay, so n naught, that is finite number of contractions. Iterated function system is just nothing but a set, a metric space X along with n number of contractions on that set. Okay, so you please be careful to notice this one. all the contractions from the set to itself only. Okay, so that metric space to itself. So such a system is called iterated function system or hyperbolic iterated function system. So each of fn's are contractions. Okay. So now we are going to define a new function with respect to the defined iterated function system. So initially I'm having a metric space, or more particularly complete metric space, and I have the set of along with the n number of contractions, n naught number of contractions, so that we called as iterated function system. Then that HP operator, which is an Bransly operator or HP operator, is defined as, is denoted by f and defined as this f of b equal to union of fn of b. It is second level set. What it is, k naught of x means, k naught of x is just nothing but set of all non-empty compact subsets of x. You know the meaning of compact subsets of x. So what are all the compact subsets available in your metric space, you have to collect and put it in that collection. It is denoted by k naught of x. Now you just feel that one, if especially for the students, please feel this one. You are not talking with you are not dealing the function with x to x. You are dealing with the function from k naught of x to k naught of x. It means even it is difficult to sometimes at first moment it is difficult to understand. You try to feel that second level set. It is collection of subsets like power set. Okay. So here we are going to collect collection of subsets, right? Okay. Collection of non-empty compact subsets. So in that we are going to define a function. So what is that function means? F of b equal to capital F of b equal to, I know the system of contractions fn, f1, f2, f3 up to fn naught. Then if you are taking f1 of b, f2 of b, f3 of b, all are image sets under f1, f2, f3, fn. So this is a set now. Then if you are taking a union, that is n equal to 1 to n naught, then again it will be a set. Okay. So f is a what we are consider actually, f is a function from k naught of x to k naught of x. And I'm sorry, I'm not writing well. I'm sorry. Okay. So f is taken from this set. So it is a compact subset of x. Why? Because this is a set of all compact subsets of x. So f b is a compact subset of x. So it is a compact subset. Then what is the image of the set means? Under this capital F means, this is a set, again compact subset, and f of b is also a compact subset. Why? Because you know the basic concept called every contraction is continuous, and every continuous function on a compact set is again a compact image under a compact set. Compact set under function carries this compact set. So B is a compact set, Fn is a contraction, so it is continuous. So especially uniformly continuous, so it carries compact set to compact set. So now this is a compact set. But what about the whole union means? It is a union of this part, right? Okay, this is the union of finite. It is nothing but finite union of compact sets. You know the results. Finite union of compact sets is again a compact. Okay. So now this will be another compact set, and this is non-empty compact set. Why? Because B is a non-empty and image also a non-empty, and each of the set is non-empty. The whole union will be non-empty. Then again this set will be non-empty compact subset, so it belongs to this codomain. Okay. So now this is a valid function whichever I am defined, and it is called HP operator or Hutchison-Bransly operator. Okay. So so I hope you will understand. If you are not especially the students, if you are not understanding means, don't worry. You just go through the things again and you will understand. You will feel that one, right? It is in second level set. Okay. So student friends, to be please to take care of this concept, right? Then next one, the main keynote, right? Okay. So what are the required things actually for using the Banach contraction theorem, I should have complete metric space, our final main theorem of our today's talk. So this is the final main theorem, right? Okay. So especially what is that Banach contraction principle means complete metric space. I need a complete metric space and one contraction. Then I can say that it has a fixed point. Okay. My aim is to use this Banach contraction principle. There's such a theory, HP theory, and such a theorem called HP theorem, which is a Ransley theorem. Suppose X is a complete metric space, then there is a concept X is a complete metric space, then K naught of X is also a complete metric space. With respect to Hausdorff metric, you can have this the definition of Hausdorff metric. Okay, maximum of, supremum of, infimum of all distances between all part of all short of points, between any two pairs. Once again, maximum of, supremum of, infimum of the distances between any 2 points. Such a metric is called Hausdorff metric. So if X is complete metric space with respect to D means, then K naught of X is also a complete with respect to Hausdorff metric. So now I have one complete metric space. Then suppose I'm having the Banach contraction, iterated function system with this complete metric space means I can define the HP operator just now I have explained. Okay. Then I did not include the proof of the theorem. I need to prove that the HP operator is also a contraction. So what does that mean? Each Fn is contraction. Okay, each Fn is contraction with the contractive factor, suppose Kn. Okay, Kn correspondingly. Then you can easily prove that using the contractivity of each Fn, you can prove that capital F also this is HP operator is also a contraction function with the contractive factor maximum of this all contractive factors of the small Fn. Okay, so simple. Each Fn's are contraction with the contractive factor Kn. Then the corresponding HP operator capital F also can be proved it is a contraction with the contractive factor maximum among all the contractive factors of small Fn. That is the idea. So it will take much time, a little time to prove this one. I'm roughly explaining the essence. Okay. Now I'm having a complete metric space. Now I'm having a contraction function on this complete metric space. Then what is the next word? We have to use Banach contraction theorem. Banach contraction theorem means every contraction function over a complete metric space has a unique fixed point. Now HP operator is a Banach contraction principle. Banach is a contraction on this complete metric space K naught of X. So it possesses a unique fixed point. Now what is the difference means we are saying fixed point in means previously we are telling it is a fixed point, it is a point. But here K naught of X is a set, a collection of sets. It is not a collection of points, it is collection of sets. If I am telling that this function F has a unique fixed point on this K naught of X means that fixed point should be one particular set. Okay, it is not a point. Why? Because it is a set. Why? Because K naught of X consists of collection of sets. It is not a collection of points. So that's why you should have one fixed point, and that fixed point will be a set. Such a set is called, such a set is denoted by A infinity. It will be getting uniquely actually. Okay, so because as per the Banach contraction principle, it should be unique one. Such a unique set A infinity is called attractor or metric fractal constructed from the Banach contraction principle. Okay, so this is the main way to construct the fractals. You can define in different ways, in different forms, with respect to other cases. But you can construct the fractals with respect to fixed point theory means I can use that Hutchison Ransley theory. Hutchison Ransley theory is nothing but there should be one iterated function system and HP operator, and by using Banach contraction principle, then HP operator will be a contraction on this complete metric space K naught of X. It should possess one fixed point by using the Banach contraction principle. Such a fixed point is called, such a fixed point set is called attractor or fractals. Even Professor Jesrani madam system mentioned that chaotic systems, right? Okay, there we are using the word attractor, but mathematically we are using the word attractor or sometimes fractals. Okay, so this is a deterministic fractal. So I just okay, these two theorems are consequences of that metric fractals. We are having 5 minutes more actually. Okay, I just show the examples, right? Okay, first one is Cantor set. Cantor set has been defined very long when we are having the set theory. George Cantor defined at the time itself. The Cantor set is a defined Cantor intersection theorem. So many things are coming after that one, right? So, but this Cantor set will be deterministic fractal. Will be an example for a deterministic fractal after defining what is fractal. Okay. So it is nothing but suppose we are, you know, the construction of the Cantor set. I quickly mentioned that one. If you have that set 0, 1, you are going to divide this 0, 1 into 3 equal parts. Then remove this middle part, and you will have this part and this part. So that is, you are removing you are separating or dividing the whole part into 3 equal parts, and you have to remove that middle part. So you have to consider that extreme parts. So this is the iterative procedure. You have to proceed with the further all the intervals. Whatever you are doing this first iteration, you have to do the same one. You just split up this interval into 3 equal parts, remove the midpoint. Again, you have to do this one. So again, you are getting the 4 equal parts, 4 subparts. Again, you have to do that one. So if you are continuously you are proceeding this one, you will be getting one set of points. Such a point is called Cantor dust, or it is also known as middle third Cantor set. So, but what is the function you are using? This one, right? Okay, we are having the two contractions. This collection will be called iterated function system. Then if you are taking this union and define that what is that Hutchison-Ramsey operator, HP operator, then you will be getting the fixed point that is called your Cantor set that you have constructed geometrically here. Okay, so but mathematically you have to use this iterated function system with these two functions on the set closed interval 0, 1. Look at here, this closed interval 0, 1 is a complete space and also compact also. So this first function is making this set to left one, and second function will convert this whole space to contract the whole space to right one. So like that you keep on doing. So you are applying the two functions. It will be keep on doing left, right, and remove that middle third. Then finally you will be getting this one as attractor. It is also one of the examples for fractal, especially with deterministic fractal. Likewise, Sierpinski cascade, you just consider this equilateral triangle and split up this equilateral triangle into four equal parts and remove that middle third. Then you have these 3 triangles. Again, you do the same procedure and remove the middle third. Like that, if you are keep on proceeding with this, you'll be getting the nice structure, but it won't have any space inside that triangle. It is a general one, but that limiting case, here you are having the interior points. Here you are having the interior points. Here itself you are having this interior points here. But in this one, if I'm talking about the limiting case, the final one, you should not have any interior point, only that lines are available. So you cannot view this one carefully, but you can imagine this time. Okay. So even in Cantor set also, you can imagine that the final dust, right? Okay, but you cannot view this one. Okay. So this is also one of the examples for a deterministic factor called Sierpinski cascade, and this is also one of the example for the deterministic factor. In Sierpinski cascade, there are 3 contractions are required. These 3 functions, and in Koch curve we need 4 contractions. Actually, this will be split up into 4 equal parts, and the middle part will be joined like this. So this will be required 4 contraction functions. You are keep on doing this one, will be having this nice structure. So such a curve is called Koch curve, and even if you are joining this Koch curve into 3 sides, you will be getting the snowflake Koch curve. Even that is our you know the invitation of our today's national webinar. There is one structure like that, right? The outer line will be like this one. that is nothing but outer line of that middle picture in your invitation. That is nothing but snowflake coach curve. That is nothing but that can be constructed by adding the three shapes of this coach curve. Okay, so this is about deterministic examples of the fractals, and I'm just showing that attractive pictures to attract you. These are all the fine success you are having. So it is natural fractals, broccoli, frond leaf, sunflower, middle pot, Mandelbrot set, Julia set, and so many pictures are there. Binary tree, so many things are there, right? Okay. Not it is not a binary tree. It is just like binary tree. It is binary tree. We are having the two branches. Here, everyone having four branches. That is the idea. Okay. You are keep on doing that one. You will be getting this structure. Okay. Now, multi-valued metric fractal. Now it is 432. So I cannot cover this one. But multi-valued metric fractal means only the differences. Previous HP theorem, you are having functions from x to x, but here you are having the multi-valued functions. X2 cannot occur. But the HP theory is defined in a similar way. So such a fractal is called multi-valued fractal. And fractal dimension, Lata madam. Lata madam. Professor
Hello,
Dr.
sir.
Madam.
Hello, sir.
Now, madam, for now 4:33.
Hello,
Madam,
Dr.
am I audible?
Ishwaramurthy. Sir, please.
Am I audible to you, ma'am? Madam, am I audible to you all?
Yes, sir.
Madam?
Yes, sir. It is audible. It is audible.
Madam, now 4:33.
Okay, sir.
Shall I roughly go through the fractal dimension?
Yes, sir.
And
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You take it.
if you are permitting me, I can go through that. I mean, I will fastly go touching that fractal dimension,
Yes,
and
sir.
I
You
will
complete it, sir.
okay, thank you. Thank you for
Thank you.
your permission. Yeah, again, I'm sharing the screen. So much topics are there. Okay, fractal dimension. Okay, topological dimension. You may get the information from our topological things. You can define the topological dimension and the Hausdorff dimension. Okay, Hausdorff dimension. Okay, box counting. I'm just coming to that box counting dimension because Hausdorff dimension is nothing but a fractal dimension, but it is very difficult to calculate practically. It is so inconvenient to calculate practically because it is limiting case of the measure structures. So it is difficult to calculate this one, but equivalently you have that. Suppose computer science people may not do this one. Even our people also very difficult to calculate for the practical applications. So for that, they are going for the fractal dimension in another way. Instead of considering the Hausdorff dimension, they will consider the box counting dimension. So box counting dimension is just roughly sketched. Means suppose I have an object, right? Or suppose I have an object in this picture. I want to exactly cover this one. Means I'm going to consider the boxes to cover. Okay, cover like this. Suppose you are having size with the delta, and each number of boxes to be covered. This one is suppose n delta, because this n delta is depends upon the size of the box, so it is dependent on delta. If but I need to cover this what is that area exactly. Okay, because that if you are drawing the box like that, then this is unwanted area for my case, because this will be useful for medical diagnosis. Suppose I want to segment that picture, whichever the cancer tumor or whatever, right? Okay, to exact that segment that exact portion of that image, medical image means. So estimate that medical image means exact portion of that abnormal portion means. Then I can use that fractal dimension. So for that purpose, I want to calculate this portion exactly. So I just don't want to include this one. It means I need to cover very small size of boxes instead of covering the big size. Still, I'm having the problem here. Still, I need to cover like that. But in mathematics, if I want to reduce the size, keep on means that is nothing but limit delta tends to 0. Size of the box tends to 0 means I can cover this one exactly. That is the main idea. So now I just define what is that box counting dimension is nothing but limit delta tends to 0, that is log of say a number of boxes to be covered, that particular set, object, image, whatever you want to analyze, the point, the set of interest, right? Okay, and minus log delta. But there is a story
Sir, please, sir, it is not audible. Dr. Ishwaramurthy, sir, please, it is not audible. Hello, sir. I think it may be a problem in your side. Dear participants, there is a problem in network connection. So please bear with us. The resource person will join us very shortly. Hello, sir. Hello, sir.
Madam.
Have you rectified that problem?
Oh,
Is there any
yes.
problem?
Yes, ma'am. Now only am I audible there?
It's audible, sir. You can continue, sir. Go ahead.
Okay. Sorry, ma'am. I don't know.
So no problem, sir.
Okay. Yeah. Sorry to all. Once again, I'm sharing the screen. Okay. So this is box counting dimension. So it is nothing but number of objects to be covered, that exact image or object, whichever you are interested, divided by size minus one log into size of that one. So why it is framed means it is nothing but a log plot and consider and to calculate that box counting dimension geometrically. For that purpose, they are defined in that way. But Hausdorff dimension is very difficult to calculate this one. Okay. But here Bowes counting dimension can be calculated geometrically by using the log-log plot and finding the slope of that line, best fit line. In that there is a way to calculate it so easily. So for that purpose, they are preferred this one. And multifractal dimension, I'm skipping this all because the fractal dimension that is that we have defined is monofractal dimension. Multifractal dimension means you are having the one parameter q. For each q, you are having the different fractal dimensions. So in more what is that? And also we are using the probability function inside that one. So pi. So more structurally, you have to analyze the cases in detail. That's what we are going. If you wanted, you go for the generalized fractal dimension called multifractal dimension. Okay, then yeah, very important that every mathematic community people knows this Weierstrass sine function and cos function, right? Okay, it is a best example for a function which is everywhere continuous, nowhere differentiable. So this is the what is that definition for the Weierstrass sine curve, and FC is the Weierstrass cos curve. Okay, I will show the graph which is which has been constructed using MATLAB. So you just look at the graph with everywhere. These are all the Weierstrass sine curves under various structures. So you look at there is a parameter yes, right? Okay, this is called our fractal dimension. Okay, so look at here, fractal dimension increases your irregularity of the Weierstrass sine curve or this is a deterministic fractal deterministic curve. So even our it is already available long back. Whenever we are having that Weierstrass has defined these two types of irregular curve, it means everywhere continuous, nowhere differential. So it is continuous. So I can draw the graph without taking the hand, but you can find the sharpness at each and every point. That's what it is, nowhere differential. Okay. And look at here, this S increases, your irregularities increases heavily. But as per the Euclidean geometry, all the curves are two-dimensional only. But as per the fractal geometry, this is 1.1 dimensional, it is 1.3 dimensional, it is 1.9 dimensional. So I can classify that irregularity or chaotic nature of the curve by means of fractal dimension. So it is a non-integer dimension actually. So similarly, you can have that cosine curve also. So as per the practical point of view, where you are going to correlate this one with means medical imaging, I already stated one particular example. I'm not much well versed in that application side, but I can have some idea to relate this concept with other medical applications, right? Okay. This also, this Weierstrass sine curve and cos curve is image of our ECG and EEG curves. ECG, EEG curves are irregular curves, but this also irregular curve. But you can analyze whatever you are having the properties in this deterministic curve. You can apply those analysis or those concepts for ECG, EEG. So fractal dimension can be calculated for ECG, EEG signals to identify the irregularities. So irregularities are more in your ECG signals or EEG signals, then you have that more abnormalities other than compared to the normal ECG and EEG. So in that way, you can classify the normal ECG and abnormal ECG, normal EEG and abnormal EEG, electroencephalogram, electrocardiogram. Okay. So so the comparison of normality and abnormality of biomedical signals. For that purpose, I can use this fractal dimension, especially multifractal dimension. So this is short summary. I just introduced the fractals and by not multivariate fractals, just metric fractal using Banach contraction principle. And I have roughly defined what is monofractal dimension and multifractal dimension. I cannot I'm not able to cover that one. I'm sorry. But I'm just pointed out that application side, those who are interested, you may go with that multifractal dimensions in biomedical images, biomedical signals, and that. Okay, even anywhere wherever you are finding that irregularity, you can use the multifractal dimension or monofractal dimensions to analyze the uncertainty, chaotic nature, irregularity, even Schar market curve. You can classify those things by using the multifractal dimension theory. So with this short summary, I will finish my talk. Before of this are all the references I have referred and I have given to you. If you want, you can go through that. And general information for faculty side, this I just listed out whatever I know. I just share with you. Some of the faculties may know the sources of the funding. Even you just go through it. If you want, you can go through it. This is for faculty side. Nature of the financial supports or sources of the financial support, and these are some list of funding agencies. This is especially for students. So mathematics students, please know this: what is UGC, CSA, or JRF lectureship, right? Okay, and UGC fellowships for so many fellowships are there, even for from UG PG onwards up to PhD, and NBHM fellowship is given for UG PG and PhD, and DST Inspire fellowship is there, MHRD social science related or something is there, JNM PhD fellowship is there, and Tamil Nadu State Council for Science and Science Technology and Higher Education Council will provides you some student project, right? Okay, young student project. You have to contact your mentor or faculty in your department, and you please try for this one. You may get less amount of amount from our Tamil Nadu government, but you may get good name from that. Okay, for your career. And Indian Academy of Sciences or other Academy of Sciences are announcing the fellowships, summer fellowship programs, including IIC and IITs, right? Okay. Especially that Indian Academy of Sciences are announcing summer fellowship programs with a good amount of fellowship. And IITs also announcing the summer fellowship program with a good amount of fellowship. So you go through all those things, and as per the mathematics, you should know Harichandra Research Institute, Tata, and these are all the leading institute, right? Okay, HTRI, IMSC, and TFR. Okay, so learning opportunities. Don't worry, this is the last slide from my side. Don't get tension, right? Okay, this is the last slide. Okay. So it is about 450. Okay, SIMPA schools. It is an international center for pure and applied mathematics. So even this can be utilized by faculty members also, students also. You can attend the research schools, informative research training programs also. You will be permitted to go abroad and with travel grant and with what lodging, boarding, and everything will be free for you, right? Okay, if you are get selected. So students also please go through it, and the faculty members also can. And you may get the mathematics learning opportunities from NCM ATM schools. Every year they are giving annual foundation schools. So go through it. And faculty members, there are a lot of workshops in teacher enrichment program and instructional schools for teachers. So many things are there. You will be given this opportunity without registration fee. So please make use of it. It is funded by National Board of Higher Mathematics and MTTS Trust. This is very, very important for student point of view. So every year they are conducted the MTTS level O, level 2, level 1, level 2. Level O for UG final, and level 1 for PG first year, and level 3 for PG third. Even sometimes mini MTTS also has been conducted by MTTS Trust. It is funded by again National Board of Higher Mathematics. So please check, please at least go through it and apply it. Whether you are get selected, it's don't worry, right? Please apply it. Even you don't spend any money now because it will be online, right? Okay, so you please try. Whether you are getting or not getting, it's apart from that. You please try, and you just know those concepts and convey these informations to your peers or whatever your colleagues, your friends. So who are all concerned, you please share this information. Okay, so and apply for those also. And summer fellowship program that I have mentioned, IIC, IAAS, IITs will be in, and outreach programs will be conducted by DST Inspire and IMSC. Every year they are conducting, and you just check TAFR, Harichandra Research Institute, IISc, IMSc. These are all the leading institutes, right? Okay, yeah, CIT. So whatever, right? Okay, so you please go through those institutes and get benefit, and at least apply for those programs, right? And in this lockdown, you may use this online course more courses, especially from NPTEL, hosted by our NIT Madras. So and MIT and so many Coursera, Udemy, so many things are there. You just get use the time and get the knowledge through online course. This is my suggestion. If you want, can have this general information. Otherwise, you just share this information to someone. They will get benefited, right? Okay. So with this short notice, with the short what is that code, I will wind up. I will finish. Mathematics is an almighty for those who understand that logically. So with this short quote, I will give this session. I will to that organizers. So before of that, I thank the management and Department of Mathematics, Dr. Mary Lata Madam, and all organizers, students of the college and and all the participants to listen with your patience. Thank you so much. Whether I'm reaching you or not, I don't know, because I'm in virtual mode. I cannot see your faces. So I'm reaching you or not, it is, I don't know, but I will. I hope I will. I will reach at some extent. And if you have any queries, comments, suggestions, so you may ask after the organizers will permit you. And if you want, you can mail me also. I will respond. So thank you so much. I will share one link with the permission of organizers. I will share one link. You please fill up that link. So that I will identify something of your mind, some status of your mind. So if you have time, you just fill up this link. I shared in chat box. So all of you interested, if please fill up the link so that I will get your opinion, feedback, comments, and all. Right? Okay. You can write anything if you want to know. You can write into my email also. And thank you so much. Thank you, organizers. Thank you, participants. Thank you, my dear students. Take care. Stay safely and healthily. Lata madam.
Hello, sir.
Lata madam, it's over to you, ma'am. Sorry,
Okay,
I have
sir.
taken 30 minutes, around 30 minutes more. Thank you so much. Thank you all.
Sir. Thank you, sir, for your deliberations and exposing our students to a new concept and learning opportunities. Thank you for motivating the student community. Participants, if you have any questions, just raise a hand and you will be unmuted. It is the question session. Participants, dear participants, if you have any queries, you can clarify it by raising the hands and you will be unmuted.
Yeah, madam, sorry to disturb you.
Yes, sir.
Madam, I got 195 of your participants are agreed the session is useful and informative. Thank you so
sir.
much.
It's fine, sir. It's really
thank
useful.
You so much to. No, I want to thank those who have responded. Thank you so much, all the participants, those who have responded. Thank you so much.
Sir, please, Mr. Ajay Kumar has raised his hand.
Yeah.
We'll unmute him and he can clarify his doubts. Mr. Ajay Kumar, you are unmuted. Please go ahead.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello, sir.
Yes, sir. Good evening to you.
Good evening, sir.
Sir, I would like to pose a doubt.
Yes, sir. If I know, I will share you immediately. I will answer you immediately.
Whether I don't know the question which I am asking to you is related to your topic or not.
Yes, sir. No problem. If possible, I will answer you.
From many days, I have a doubt regarding this question. Will you please explain me the limit of the sequence of a function visually?
Yeah, actually, your question is it is out of our today's topic. But your
Yes,
question
sir.
is limit of the sequence of functions.
Function.
Yeah.
Visualization. I want
Visualize.
visualization of
Okay.
limit of sequence of a function.
Yeah. I don't have that pen. I will, sir. Don't mistake me. I will try to explain roughly because I cannot write properly. I will try to explain.
Okay,
So I'm
no
going to
problem.
share the screen with the permission of organizers.
Yes, sir.
So I'm going to share the screen. Oh, sorry, I cannot share. Madam, I cannot share the screen because you are not. Please permit me to share the screen.
Okay, sir.
Okay, madam.
We have enabled it.
Yeah, thank you, ma'am. Thank you. I'm sharing now. Okay, sir. I'm sharing the screen. Yeah, suppose if you are having the sequence of functions, so I'm geometrically explaining because it is not possible to explain the mathematical version. Geometrically, I'm explaining, sir. Okay. Suppose you are having the functions, so like this. Something, sir. So the limit, I'm not drawing this one exactly. Suppose all this is f1, this is f2, this is f3, and f4, f5. Like that, you are having the sequence of functions, and at some point it will be reaches, it will be approaches that one. Okay. So in certain cases, the limit of sequence of fn will be okay. F of limit of that particular. Wait. Otherwise, I will explain geometrically. Suppose if you are having the functions, okay, whose graph is approaches to a particular point, okay, particular point, if it approaches, right, okay, then that point will be the limit, that point and image of that point will be, not that particular point, image of that point will be limit of this sequence of the function. So, I know I am not reaching you completely 100%, but this is rough idea because there are uniform continuous and point-wise continuous. So many things are there. Even sequence of functions convergence also. There are two things: uniform convergence and point-wise convergence. So rough idea geometrically, I am explaining you. Otherwise, you may call me, sir. I will explain in more detail. Okay, but here it is not possible to write down the mathematical definition, sir. Rough idea is it converges to all the series of functions converges to one particular image of the one particular point. So that will be the limit of that sequence of functions. This is rough idea. Okay, ma'am. I will. Okay, sir. I hope I have answered a little.
Okay, so the next
Sir,
participant,
thank you, sir.
Kasturi Madam. Madam Kasturi. Madam Kasturi has raised her hand. Madam, we have unmuted you. You can go ahead. Hello.
Ma'am. Okay, ma'am. Next.
Mr. Lawrence Raj. They have unmuted. They have unmuted on their side. We couldn't unmute them.
Yeah. Yes. Okay, ma'am. Next.
Then shall we wind up, sir?
Okay, ma'am.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you all. Thank you, participants again, and thank you, organizers again. My special thanks to the esteemed college authorities and madam, you also. Thank you so much, ma'am, for giving this
Thank you, sir.
opportunity.
Participants, feedback link is given in the chat box. Kindly send it back. Now we are at the culmination of this webinar. Gratitude is a powerful catalyst for happiness. I thank Lord Almighty for his presence and blessings throughout this endeavor. I wholeheartedly thank Reverend Sister Dr. S. Jesurani, Principal, and Reverend Sister Dr. B.J. Quinsley Jayanti, Secretary of Jayaraj Annapakyam College, Periyakulam, for supporting and encouraging us to take up this venture for the welfare of the student community. Thank you, sisters. Next, I thank Dr. D. Ishwaramurthy from Vellore Institute of Technology for sharing his expertise on fractals. I assure you, sir, that your deliberations will certainly ignite the knowledge of the learners. On behalf of the management, Faculty of Mathematics, and the participants, I owe my gratitude to you, sir.
Thank
Thank
you,
you
ma'am.
once again, sir.
Thank you.
I am extremely thankful to Reverend Sister Dr. Joshita, Head of the Department of Computer Science, for extending the technical support wholeheartedly. Thank you very much, Sister. Next, I thank my colleagues for their cooperation. I thank all the participants for their support. Thank you, everybody. Let me conclude with the words of Dr. Kalam. Learning gives creativity. Creativity leads to thinking. Thinking provides knowledge, and knowledge makes you great. Wishes to you all to become great. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.